And lastly, before we hand it over to Beck to run us through the map, just a reminder for those in this meeting, just looking at the attendance list, there's a fair number of BCMT members, and there's also a fair amount of non-members as well. And most of what Beck's going to be going over in this presentation is the member map. So a lot of the features, the new interface, it's all the same on the public map, but most of those bigger features like the site condition reporting layer, like the trip planning tool, the um, site measurement tool, all of those are specific to the member map. So for those of you who are not members in the meeting right now, definitely consider BCMT membership. Hopefully after this meeting, you'll see the value that the member map has. There's all kinds of other perks from our partner discounts. We have some really, really generous partners from like VPO to CV Canoe and Kayak up in Comox, to almost every like rental outfitter on the coast as well. Definitely like BCMT membership can save you money a lot of the time. If you're thinking of doing any paddling related purchase this summer, it's definitely going to be a money saver for you. And the other big one is also now our Facebook group. So it's definitely been a bit dormant over the winter, but last summer we saw it used for beginner paddlers asking questions, people sharing trips and photos that they went on. And that's been super fun for us as well to kind of help build that community online. And if not any of those features, we are a primarily grant funded organization, but it really is donations and membership that fill in the gaps for us and let full-time employees like myself and Beck stay on and keep growing BCMT. So definitely, if you're not a BC Marine Trails member already, definitely consider membership. And I hope that this presentation will show you some of the value that it'll bring to you. And we can send some links at the end of this as well to kind of point you in the right direction. Awesome. So we'll pass it over to Beck to walk us through some of the incredible things he's added to the map over the past few months.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sam. So as Sam said, I'm Beck, and I've been working on developing the new BCMT maps over the last several months. I guess just before I do the full map tour, to give a little bit of a background on the impetus for BCMT redeveloping the maps. We use a web mapping platform software that was getting updated and renewed. And so the version that we had the existing BCMT member map on was going to be out of service essentially. But there was a new one getting replaced by the parent company that we work with to develop our maps. So I came on to help BCMT redevelop the member map and the public map with this new platform. And so, yeah, my work evolved over those several months. And it was not only a necessary thing as the software was changing, but also a great opportunity to add so many new features and expand the power of the member map. So we're, super excited about the huge turnout and also really excited to go over the map itself. I'm just going to share screen at this point and take us to, the start loading page of the new map. This should be pretty familiar. Similar to our other map, we have a quick splash page, just a welcome to the map, where we go over or present a bit of a disclaimer, and then also link to our Marine Code of Conduct, which was also renewed not too long ago and should definitely be checked out. I guess I'll start by just giving a general overview of the whole map. One of the big things that I focused on when redesigning the map was just giving it a bit of a fresher layout that is a bit more intuitive and makes for a better experience when exploring the map. We have all the tools, except for the search, the site search, here at the left-hand side of the map. So this is where you're going to control how the map actually looks and then use the tools and then connect to the extra resources and information that we have linked to the map. We have our site search bar up at the top right, and then you'll see as we explore the map that the actual site feature information, so when we click on a site point or trails or any other feature on the map, that information about that feature is going to pop up in this sidebar here, and then can be explored over on this sidebar. And so this was one of the improvements from the old map, because the old map just had the site information window coming up right in the middle of the map extent. So this allows for us to still keep exploring the rest of the map while having the site information loaded. I'll just point out also that as part of this new site information panel, we've added a couple new exciting features to help give some more context and information for our sites. The first is that we now list the First Nations territories that each site is associated with. So that's new this year, and but definitely really important to us at BCMT. And you'll find it right there in the initial site details as well. We also now feature multiple photos. So this is another improvement from the previous version of the BCMT member map. We now have the ability to share a full gallery of photos for our sites that do have multiple photos. Not all of them do, but for the ones that do, it's definitely nice to now see so many photos. I'm trying to find a good one. There we go. Yeah, so that's a bit of the site information panel, and it can also be closed manually just by pressing on those little arrows there. So I guess I'll quickly run down the three sort of map configuration tools. So this is what you're going to use to actually change how the map looks to you. We have our layers and legend. So this is going to be the features that you see on the map are controlled. The map loads with just the sites on by default, but we also have our marine trails layer, which can be toggled on. So our marine trails will pop up. And just like a site point, the marine trails can be clicked on, and we'll get all sorts of great information about them and additional photos. So that's definitely something to explore. We also link to the web pages where you can get even more information. We have as well something that's a really useful member benefit, which is a marine chart layer. And so this layer kicks in only after a certain zoom level. It actually has so much content and data in it that if it were to load one zoomed all the way out, it would just really slow down your computer and the experience of loading the map. But at a certain zoom level, the marine chart kicks in. And we have some default set for it, but it also can be configured to show all sorts of other settings. This is data that's right from the Government of Canada, from DFO. So this is, yeah, a fantastic member benefit. A lot of our members really value having the ability to have the marine charts layer, especially when it comes to trip planning. You can do your trip planning right over top of this. And we'll get to that in a second. So all the layers just toggle on and off with these check boxes. And then the last layer, and I saved it for last because this is one of the biggest changes that we've made, and we're really excited about it. And I'm going to come back to it in a few minutes, but we now also have a site condition report layer. So these points that are showing up on the map are coming from user submitted SCR, site condition report forms, that have then been turned into bits of information that users can now see on the map, on the member map only, I should say. We're really excited about that, and I'll get into it in a second. But yeah, so that's the layers and legend. Just note that there's this little button here that's going to give you the expanded legend for each layer. Right. The next thing I want to show you is the filters. So the filters are great for changing the sites that you're going to see on the map. We have 3 different site type filters, and then a filter for the different marine trails. So this site type filter is going to show, or you're going to be able to toggle the different kinds of sites that we have. For example, just campsites. If I want to see campsites and day use sites, I can click on those. Ferry terminals, launch sites, so on and so forth. Another thing, I can toggle them all or one by one. Another thing that I should note is that these filters apply and logic. So essentially they overlap. So if I do campsites and then I do a region filter, it's going to apply both filters, and it's only going to give me the campsites within this other filter that I choose. So if I choose Vancouver Island and I have the campsites or the site type on and the campsites on, it's going to only show me campsites on Vancouver Island. So this can be really convenient if you're planning a trip in a specific region and you don't want the noise of all the sites on the map. You can really just narrow down to what you need. So we have our regions, and we also have, on even a finer grain, our paddling areas. We have a lot of different paddling areas. These are much smaller areas, more specific. Yeah, we can just go on Burrard Inlet right now, and then we see only our Burrard sites are on. So definitely a finer resolution than the regions, but still a good filter to have. And then the last filter we have is for our trails in particular. So if I go back to this layers and legend tool and I toggle on my marine trails and I see them all here, I can X out of that, and then I'll go to the filter and I can see that all 12 of our trails, we don't have 12 trails, but a few of our trails are split up into multiple legs, as you can see. And so those can be toggled on and off here. They're all on by default, but you can just select the ones that you want to see. And then this little garbage can in the corner clears all the filters and gets rid of them all. But I'm going to turn them all back on. And we will just control the marine trails appearing on the map here in this layers and legend tool. So yeah, lots of different ways to explore and add the features on the map, filter the features on the map. And I'll just note that the public map does not have filters. The last thing that's going to help us configure the map to our liking is our base maps. So we have 5 different base maps. The one that I find the most useful and is the one that's set to default is the imagery hybrid. So it's a combination of satellite imagery, but it also has all sorts of other important map features, place names, roads. It's a good mix, essentially. We do also just have a straight up satellite imagery base map, an OpenStreetMap layer that has heaps of information, actually. A topographic one, which can be nice for route planning if you're looking at camping specifics, and then an oceans one that personally I find this one mostly just aesthetically pleasing with the way that they've shaded the ocean, but it's just another option. So I'll set it back to imagery hybrid for now. And then we can get into the tools. So the first tool that I'm going to go is, or the first tool that I'm going to show is the new and improved route planning tool. So we did have a route planning tool on the previous version of the member map, but I'm going to quickly show the new and improved one. So again, it's going to come up in this same sort of tool panel where all the different tools pop up. And yeah, so this is the new route measuring tool page. You can decide to measure your route in kilometers, miles, or nautical miles. I'm just going to click on nautical miles. And the way it works is quite simple, but you just click start route and you'll see that that gets outlined. And then you can begin clicking on the map to create points. I click too close to the shingle split ferry site, and it opened up. But yeah, you can click on the water and it will start to register your points. And you'll see here, this gives you a little preview of your route, leg by leg. So it'll show you the start coordinates for each leg, the end coordinates for each leg, your course, the leg distance for that leg, and then the total distance. So that's the cumulative distance of the entire route up to the end point of that leg. And as long as I haven't clicked finish route, I'm going to be able to keep making points along the way. Now, this tool has multiple pages for the little leg previews, so it's just something to note. And a really big improvement from the previous BCMT route planning tool is that we now have the ability to go back. So if you mistakenly create a point, you can click this back button and you're going to be able to undo it and then start from where it goes back to. When you're happy with your route, you're going to click finish route, and now you won't be able to extend it any further. And then your options from here are either to clear it if you would like to restart. It gives you the total distance and the units you specify down below. And then you have the option to download either a GPX file or a CSV file onto your computer. So GPX file, if you want to immediately send it over or upload it to whatever GPS software you'd like to use. Or you can download the CSV and then you'll get a spreadsheet with this information. And you can then do whatever you'd like with it, including adding another column so you can write notes in. If you're going to do a day-by-day type of thing, or you want to just make notes about the specific legs, endpoints, or start points, that's totally up to you. So you'll be able to just download that right there. And then when you're all done with your route, you'll just press clear and you'll be able to restart.
Can I add something really quick on that, Beck?
Yeah, for sure.
As paddlers on the West Coast, I'm sure we're all super used to waking up on foggy mornings on longer expeditions as well. And what's great about that tool is using the course heading. Whenever you're heading out on like a multi-day expedition or even a day trip, and you have your paper chart and you're looking to find out if you're doing a crossing, big or small, what the heading is, it's so much easier than sitting down with a protractor at your paper chart and trying to do those measurements by hand. You can pick from one point to another. And if you look at the chart on the left there by the start and end coordinates, you see course. And that's what you'd have to follow on your compass. So super easy for whenever you're planning, especially if you're doing like a 1, 2, 3 week trip. And there might be multiple crossings, even one a day. It can be such a time saver using that tool. Definitely something I'll be using this summer.
Great. Yeah, thanks so much, Sam. Yeah, we're definitely excited about it. I think it's a really big improvement from the previously existing BCMT route planning tool. So the next one that I'm going to get into here is our site selection tool. So this is another new one. Again, these are all three of these tools are member map features only. So if you're not a member yet, hopefully we're starting to sell you on it a bit. But yeah, so the site selection tool essentially just enables you to do a selection of sites from the map based on a polygon, so like an area that you draw, or within a proximity to a point that you place or a line that you draw. So this is a really versatile tool for if you just want to take a subset of our BCMT sites. This is kind of how you'd do it. I'll start with the polygon. So I can click here on the little polygon symbol and you'll see that it's now blocked out. And then I'll just be able to draw. You'll see the area that I select. And then I'll double click and it'll give me all the sites within that polygon. Also, just note that it enables you to set a buffer distance. This is a little less important for the polygon, but for the other two options, it's great. But So the inner line is the polygon I actually drew, and then the outer line is the buffer distance that's set here. So that's just 1 extra kilometer. But it's going to give me a list of all the BCMT sites that are within that area. And then there's even some extra detail I can do, because I can click on each site and get a little preview of the site information. So it's just a really quick way to get a little list within an area. And then from here, I can also export to CSV. Probably less likely that any of our members will be using JSON and GeoJSON, and definitely not export to item. Export to item has to do with some of the GIS stuff on the back end, so it won't really work for most members anyways, but CSV is probably going to be the best bet in terms of getting a export of tabular information. So you'll get essentially a spreadsheet with a lot of the site details. So that's really great for if you wanted to just take a subset of BCMT sites to look at on your own. And then also you can add your own notes, your own columns, change it in your own spreadsheet the way you'd like. Yeah, so that was the polygon selection. I'm just going to press the garbage can, and then we'll do a polyline. So again, you're going to click and see that it's activated. And then similar to the root measurement tool, I'm just going to draw a line. And I'm going to set a 3-kilometer buffer. I'm going to double click to finish, and it's going to give me all the sites that are within 3 kilometers of the line that I drew. Same thing, it's going to be my list. I can look at them further, and then also export them. So yeah, the line one might be really useful if you want to sort of do an estimated route that you were thinking, and then it's going to pull all the sites from the buffer distance you set around your route. And then the last one I'll show you is the point. So pretty intuitive based on the others. We just set a point here. I already had my buffer distance set. So it's a good tip to make sure you have your buffer distance set before you place your point. I'm going to set it to 5 kilometers. I'll place my point here, and it'll find any other sites that are within that distance. So we have that list again. So that's our site selection tool. And then this last tool is also a great new feature, and it is the print tool. So this is also, yeah, like I said, new for this version of the member map. Again, it's a members only feature. And it's a really flexible way to create PDFs of sections of our map. Has all sorts of preset templates. I'm just going to keep it on A3 landscape. Title you can change. I just have ArcGIS web map that I'm going to do Vargas Island sites. And then advanced here, we have some extra settings, current map extent, and current map scale. Essentially just keep it on wherever you're zoomed to. And then set map scale, you click, and then I can choose a number to zoom to. For the sake of this demo, I'll just keep it on the current map extent. I'm going to put my name as the author. I'm going to include the legend. I'm going to include the north arrow. I want my scale bar unit to be kilometers. Unfortunately, we didn't have the option in our software platform to have nautical miles as our unit of measurement. But that's okay. We'll just keep it at kilometers for now. You can also check this show print area, and it'll just highlight what you're going to see. Because I have the current map extent, it's just going to be my whole map. So kind of redundant. So I'm going to turn that off for now. But then I'm going to click print. And sometimes this takes a minute, but you'll see here in the print um, tool toolbar little side panel that I have my template tab and then I have my results tab. And so the results tab is where you're actually going to get your link to the PDF it creates for you. Sorry, I'm just going to check. Did my screen share switch over to the PDF map? Great.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
see that.
so now we see that it's given my sidebar, given a little legend based on what's in the map. I see the sites. I see the title I set. Yeah, so that's a really handy new tool. Definitely encourage our members to explore that if they think it's useful. Get some printouts. And yeah, just to note that the the printed map is going to print whatever you set up here. So you can choose your base map. You can choose the layers. You can add your marine chart to it and then print it out that way. So yeah, it's really a great, useful new tool. We have our information panel. So this is really just giving us a rundown of our site definitions. So this is how we sort of define the different categories of site that we have. And then we have our additional resources page. So we have links here to our how to use the map YouTube videos, where we kind of go through a lot of what I just went through. But if you ever need another reference for how to use the map and you'd like that in video form, we have little mini videos for all the different tools. So definitely encourage you to come back here. And then we also have our select sites data conversion tool. Yeah, that's a good thing to go over. So basically in our select sites, it's good that I saw that actually. You'll notice if I do a quick site select, I have my sites click up here and I can export them to CSV. But if you'd like them in KML or GPX format because you want to add them to whatever GPS software you'd like or load them into Google Earth or something, you can use this select sites data conversion tool to choose the file, that download CSV file on your computer, and then choose either KML or GPX, and it'll convert it for you. So yeah, that's good to point out. And then we also just have a link to a few BCMT resources, Washington Water Trails, some government resources, some First Nations resources, and Windy for weather stuff. Yeah, I'm just gonna X out this site selection. Yeah, so that's essentially the layout of the tools. We have a coordinates tool also here at the bottom right. It'll show you the coordinates of wherever your cursor is. And then if you want a specific coordinate, you can press this little icon here. It'll give you some crosshairs and then you'll be able to place them and you'll get that coordinate and you can quickly copy it to do whatever you'd like with it. And then you can just unclick that to have it go back to your cursor. So that's pretty handy. And then we also have our search. So if I want to...
And sorry, Beck, just there with the way that the map is showing right now, just the coordinates bar was, at least for me, I can't see the coordinates bar. So Beck was just showing
Oh,
there's on
okay.
the left-hand side of the coord. Oh, I'm a
Was that
fool.
just
It's because
down?
my bar was covering it, but I think everybody else could probably see
Okay.
it.
Yeah, let me know if I should demo that again. Um, just gonna see.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Okay. But just to be clear, you can see the
So I
coordinates
think
bar.
what's happening for me at least is the bar that shows like React chat, like the whole bottom bar is just
Yeah.
hovering above the coordinates.
Okay.
But essentially on the side of the coordinates bar, just in the bottom left corner, there's a button on the left that just looks like crosshairs. If you click those crosshairs, you then get a cursor that you can drop anywhere in the map, and it will tell you the exact coordinates of that location and lock it in place. So then you can go back and there's a little copy button, and you can click copy and you can take those coordinates directly and paste them elsewhere. But there's really just that one button down on that coordinates bar, so it's pretty hard to miss. I'm assuming a lot of
Yeah.
people can't see it right now in the same way that I can, but definitely just go mess around on that bar, and it's pretty intuitive.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything I can do to not obscure that if it's because of a zoom bar. Um, so yeah, that's the coordinates tool. That is also covered in a video in our how-to videos. So you'll be able to find that there as well. But yeah, so for our search sites, you can just search, and our search sites will pull all of our BCMT sites that have any similarity or contain the keyword that you're putting in. So I know there's a few different Kermi Island sites. If I put in that Kermi word, I want to go to South Kermi Island, I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to click on the search result, and it's going to take me right in there. And then from there, I can click on the site and open up that site information bar, or the site information panel, sorry, where I can get all the good info about it that I need. Yeah, so that's just, yeah, it's pretty simple, pretty intuitive site search tool. The last thing that I wanted to go over, I guess, in a bit more detail, and I've already kind of hinted at this before, but one of the newest features is the site condition reports layer. So I'm going to turn that on. And just for the sake of seeing it clearly on the map, I'm going to turn off our sites. And so these orange pins are places where we've had user submitted SCR site condition reports. And just like a site, you can click on it and you'll get all sorts of great information from whoever submitted it, including a whole heap of photos if they submitted a bunch. So a lot of these really good site condition report points that you're seeing on the map have actually been collected over the past year, and we've sort of adapted them and improved them to show up on the map. But Sam's going to talk a bit more about the new and improved site condition report form that we also launched not long ago. But a lot of the ones that you see on the map here have actually been submitted by Lisette Clark. So I think she's here on the call with us. So shout out to Lisette. Thank you so much for your amazing SCRs. You'll give the members lots of great content to look at. But yeah, so this is something we're really excited about. It's going to give, yeah, lots of like new, more personal user submitted information, a great way for BCMT members to sort of connect with each other, show and tell. And Sam can talk about it in more detail also, but this is an optional thing. You can choose whether or not you'd like your site condition report to show up on the map. But of course, it will be greatly appreciated because it's always good to have reviews, be able to see people's real time on the ground, on the water experience of the sites. Yeah, so I think that just about rounds out what I wanted to show on the map. The only other thing that I'm going to say is that another huge improvement with this map is the new and enhanced mobile configuration. So unlike on the previous version of the BCMT member map, and this actually works for the public map as well, but yeah, the previous one just loaded essentially the desktop version of the map on your phone, and then you sort of had to zoom awkwardly around to navigate it. But now we've redeveloped it so that when you open the BCMT map on your phone, it'll trigger a mobile layout that's different from this, similar to how Google Maps looks different in the app than it does on the desktop. So just encourage you all to open it up on your mobile device to see just how much more useful it can be on the go as well. And that is also in the video. We have a video for that in our map how-to videos of our mobile view. Yeah, so I think that just about finishes off my little map presentation. I'm gonna stop sharing and
Oh,
send it
do you want us to keep it
back
up, Beck,
to.
just while I chat about SCRs?
Okay, yeah, that's actually a great idea. Do you want me to
And if
open
you
up
just
an
want to open up
SDR?
one of, I just know the sets are pretty high quality. All of the ones in the
Yeah,
Central Coast are hers.
yeah,
So for those of you watching that are not familiar with site condition reports, or we call them internally SCRs, it's essentially a way for you, whenever you're out on the coast, to communicate information back to us that you're seeing. So we have over 1,400 sites now. We definitely are not out there ourselves in kayaks and powerboats and all the ways that you can visit the coast every summer. And we really rely on you guys, all of our users, all of our members who are out on the coast to get updated information on our map. So the site condition report we have fully revamped over the past few months. And I would like to think that it's a lot easier and a lot less cumbersome than it was before. So it is a pretty easy thing to do whenever you come back from a trip, or to do while you're on a trip as well. And in the past, those site condition reports came to us strictly on the back end, and our Trails Development Committee would use that information to update site information. And that's still happening. But with this new change, we're also making the most relevant bits of information visible to our members on the map, as well as Beck is showing here. Because it is really valuable to get a lot of that information in terms of how things are changing. I know Karina, our new chair, has a story of going to the Central Coast last summer and showing up at a site and expecting it to be a big sandy beach, and that had all been swept away in a storm. And getting those updated pieces of information for sites that are super remote is so valuable for us, and so valuable for you guys to be able to communicate that information back. And with things like, what I see this being so valuable for as well is seasonal information. Sites that have water. If somebody's posting, I was there in August and it's completely dry. And then the next May, somebody says, I was just there, water's running. Like, having that kind of record going back will be super helpful for information gathering as well. But do keep in mind, this isn't official BCMT information. This is submitted by users like yourself, and very helpful, but definitely not necessarily official BCMT site information. Definitely still go to the site itself for that. So we definitely encourage you to check out our site condition reporting. I'm going to send out an email after this to everybody who's here with a few links. Definitely consider incorporating that into your adventure routine. It's super easy. There's an app where you can fill it out in real time, and it'll even just upload your site condition report as soon as you're back in service. So really easy to do as you're out there. Also super easy to just take notes. Is there a tree down on the landing? Is the water source dry? Whatever it might be, a few photos, anything's valuable. You don't have to fill out the entire site condition report, but just bits and pieces are really helpful for us as well. The other piece on that is a lot of our work, my work, I'm the stewardship coordinator at BC Marine Trails, is finding out tools and ways that whenever people are out on the coast, that you can actually make a positive difference whenever you're out on the coast. And some of the work we've been doing with site condition reporting is around marine debris. And we've been working increasingly with large-scale marine debris cleanup organizations like Rugged Coast, like Ocean Legacy, to take information from site condition reports and actually get action on that. So if you're ever out on the coast and you're storm stayed for a day and are looking for something to do, and you want to do a little beach clean, or you see a big dock or a few blue barrels that are washed up, whatever it might be, if you report that information back to us, we'll pass it off to the relevant partners that are actually going out and doing the landing craft removal, the heli removal, and in our increased work with them are getting their schedules for knowing when are they going to be in Nootka, for example. So this year we're hoping to put out a few more calls to action to you guys before the start of the season, saying, if, for example, just using Nootka here, if you're in Nootka before July 15th, submit your site condition reports with marine debris information, and we'll pass that off to the partner that's going to be there doing removal. So I know sometimes you're out in a remote beach and it feels a bit hopeless, but definitely if you're looking to contribute, piling debris, sending that site condition report in definitely can make a difference in the long run. So super excited about this improved site condition report interface. I think it'll be super valuable for our membership, and hopefully helpful as a tool as well for benefiting the coast whenever you're out there. Which I think can send us over to our Q&A session. So I think already a few questions in here. If you guys have any questions, big or small, based on Beck's presentation, any curiosities you have, now is the time to send them in the chat, and we can start working through them. So one that I saw at the top, which I actually don't know the answer to, and I'm now curious, Beck, is do you know whether or not the course heading, whenever you're doing the route planning tool, is in true or magnetic north? I would assume it's in true, because it wouldn't be adjusting for each region. Do you know the answer to that?
It has to be true. It's a
That's what I figured. Yeah,
mathematical
there's no way for it to be magnetic.
calculation based on coordinates on a certain elliptical. What's it called? I forget the 84 GD 84, whatever that goes around the Earth and is based. It's all calculated on that. So
Yeah, definitely Paul's right. It's true.
So definitely that's a really good reminder. Whenever you're using that feature, definitely still refer to the declination or whatever chart you're on. Take that number. It's still much easier than doing it with a protractor on the chart. But if it's a declination of 20, tack that on or take it off to the true number. Just scrolling through other questions here. So Anne O'Shea asks, can you search by site feature, e.g. freshwater or tent capacity? And Paul's already answered that, saying that the best way to do that is to take the sites that you are looking for, whatever region, download that to CSV, and then you can search very easily in that Excel spreadsheet for that type of information. But unfortunately, we're not able to filter at this time on the map directly.
Yeah, that's right. The only filters that we have at the moment are the ones that I demoed here, and then the search tool, the search sites, is just pulling the names of the BCMT sites. So yeah, a bit of a limitation in that you can't search first based on attributes. So that would be like the amount of 10 sites or any other thing. Just I mean, you can search by the type using the filter. But yeah, something like land tenure or anything that would be in any of the comments, 10 sites, that's not going to be a searchable attribute, unfortunately.
Awesome. Thanks, Beck. And then there's a question here about the current state of the map for offline use, if you just want to speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so there is a field maps application that I think might have been advertised in the past for the previous map. Unfortunately, the ArcGIS, which is the sort of parent company or platform that we use to create the BCMT web maps, so the field maps app does have an offline like download type feature. But what's unfortunate about it is that it just sort of gives sites and has like a base map that is a default base map with just some plain data. It's not actually an application the way that this whole experience builder is set up. So you won't have any of the tools. You won't have any of the configuration abilities. You won't have the sidebar where the site information will come up. And so we're not really able to, in good conscience, advertise using it to download the member map. There wouldn't be the route planning tool as well. So at this moment, there's not really a good solution for offline use of the map. That's kind of where the site downloads and the route planning tool come in handy, because you can get the spreadsheets for your own planning, the GPX points, KML points, whatever you need. But as far as the experience builder itself, it's not really going to translate to offline use super easily. I will say, and I mean, most of the coast, a lot of the remote parts of the coast don't have cell service, so not super helpful. But I mean, I know Desolation Sound has good cell service. And now with the new mobile configuration of the map, if you are anywhere that does have service, it is a whole lot more useful, even when you're out on the water. So I'll just, yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, so Greg asks, and I already know the answer to this, but I'll send it over to you, Beck, is if there's a way to share a planned route with friends, or I guess even just on the map to select just the sites that are along your route to see. Um, and I'll pass over to you. There's obviously the way to show like the general area with your route planning tool, but not necessarily to select, I'm going to be going to this site and skipping this site and going to this site.
Yeah. Yeah, I think um, in terms of sharing, I think probably what makes the most sense with the capabilities that we have on the member map right now is going to be to get a selection of sites. Well, it depends on what you're trying to share. If you're trying to share um, your sites with someone else, I would do a selection, take a CSV download, and you can send someone a spreadsheet. Um, or you can make a map uh, with the print PDF feature and send it to them. Or you can plan your route and then download it and send it to them. But in terms of actually like sharing your individual BCMT map that you've just set up, it's not, yeah, we don't really have that capability at the moment. So it's not quite a um, social networking app in that way. I know there's other planning outdoor maps where you have an account and you can link up with other accounts on it and add people to your map. But that's unfortunately not possible with the BCMT member map.
Totally. And on that point though, Greg, there's so many ways to download this data and manipulate it as well. Like for example, doing the site selection, downloading the sites, and then uploading it to, for example, Google Earth using KML is totally a way to very easily have like your planned route. If you're doing a 1 week trip and you want just your site options, the data is definitely available to then take it elsewhere where it's a bit more manipulatable. So definitely play around with those site selection and download tools. And it becomes a much more powerful tool to BCMT map once you realize that it's not just a map, but also a data source that you can take elsewhere. There's a few questions back about the print feature. So one is um, about selecting the size, and that's
Yeah.
up to you. So you can actually select the template size at the very top, depending on your paper size. So definitely, if you're planning on printing, just go play around a bit. Like it doesn't directly print; all it does is save a PDF for you to print. So just go see what the options are. Play around with it. Again, whenever you click print, it doesn't print. It goes up to the results tab in the top right where you can download a PDF. So just play around with it until you find something that works for you. And then the other question about printing is about a compass rose. Um,
Oh, yeah. I saw that question and I didn't actually know the answer myself, and I gave it a quick try. I will demo that quickly. But basically, it's unfortunate, but what happens is it shows the little compass point. So if I go here, I place my compass point right here. But unfortunately, because the compass point is sending that coordinates information to the bar at the bottom, it's not like showing up right beside it here. When I go to print, I just do a super quick print.
and Beck, I could be wrong here, but is it not just automatically north is up when you print?
It'll be whatever your map extent is. So you see here that we have our little orientation arrow. So you'll see that north is up, so it'll be up when I
Mm-hmm.
print, and then it'll show. And so, yeah, like I said, you'll see the little compass point I put, but it's not corresponding with any coordinates because it doesn't have the coordinates bar. So
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, no.
And unless you're actively manipulating the direction of the map, it will be north is up.
Yeah.
I think is the key there. Um, A question by Elizabeth Purdon. Did I see something in passing that one can now upload GPX files to Navionics? I don't personally know. Beck, do you know? I guess that's not really.
No
That's
idea.
kind of, yeah. That'd be very cool. That'd be awesome. Definitely worth looking into, but not an answer that we have at the time, unfortunately. And then I had another question lined up here. I thought, oh, there it is. Greg Rooney says, yes, you can upload GPS to Navionics.
Great.
And a note on that as well is always a good reminder. There's so many great tools in here, like for example, the marine chart that you can zoom into, but the BCMT map definitely is not intended to be a navigational tool. It's really an information gathering tool for sites, and you should really be depending on navigation specific tools whenever you're out on the coast. Things like Navionics, which has been brought up, marine charts, all of those safety tools that we're all familiar with. And the BCMT map should definitely be seen more as a trip planning tool, a site information gathering tool. A question here about SCRs is how far back do they go, which is a great question. So we implemented a whole new process, a whole new site condition reporting form this winter, and at the same time made them live on the map. So only site condition reports that have been submitted through that new form, which is essentially an SCR since mid-January, will be live on the map. We've gone in with site condition reports of essentially our internal team that were there last summer and input those. So that's mostly what's there now. But unfortunately, because the formats changed, the questions have changed, and we also haven't gotten consent from people in the past to push their SCRs live, it will only be SCRs that have been submitted this upcoming season that will appear. So right now there's maybe 20 site condition reports that you can go and check out just to kind of show the functionality. But hopefully as we get into April, into May, into June, we see those site condition reports popping up across the map from you guys out on your adventures. I think that's all the big questions. There's a few chats going on here. So if anything's been buried, if you have a question that hasn't been answered, please send it in. Oh, Charles says, can we download the site coordinates to import into our GPS?
Yes, you will be able to. So when you take a download of sites from the site selection tool, that CSV is going to include an X and a Y latitude and longitude. So you will have coordinates. Yeah, and before I see we're getting kind of close to 8 o'clock here. It seems like some of the questions are winding down. We can still take some more, but I do just want to say that, yeah, I worked hard on this map for many months, but it also was a real team effort. I can't thank all the people I worked with at BCMT enough for helping me put this together, especially Paul Gray, Sam, Gina, Karina, all the help from our volunteers who tested it and gave such great feedback along the way. It was really a big group effort. And I know we're all super excited to be sharing it with our members.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Beck. So for everybody that's on this call, I will be sending out a few links to some of the things we've talked about throughout the call, from site condition reports to the smaller how-to videos if you want to revisit some of the features. I've also been recording this call as well, and we're going to upload it to our YouTube. So if there's anything from this call that you want to revisit, obviously we've gone through a lot of content. I'll send that out as well. And again, thank you so much to all of our members that are on this call. We really can't do it without you. I know membership fees are pretty small, like $35 a year for individuals, but we're up to nearly 12 or 1,300 members at this point. So it really does make a big difference to help with a lot of these bigger projects. And again, those of you on the call that are not yet members, we'd love to have you along. I hope just seeing the member map and how incredible some of the work that Beck's done is a big push to join us and become a BCMT member.